Good afternoon. Welcome to the Alumni Special. My name is Dilly MacFarlane. I'm the Alumni Officer here at Mount St. Vincent, and I'm happy to announce the beginning of a 13-week series that will be broadcast to you each week at this time through till December the 3rd. And throughout those 13 weeks, we're going to be featuring activities of community interest. The focus will be on people. Our alumni are a real active group, and what they're doing should prove of some interest to you. Meanwhile, today's topic, we're going to be discussing the Mount Playhouse, a very exciting topic indeed. And I have three very busy people here with me in the studio today. We're just breathing a sigh of relief, having completed our 4th successful season of dinner theater here on the Mount campus. And in fact, all three are alumni connected, and I'm very happy to introduce them to you now. On my far right, Mrs. Renate Usmiani, who is the founding artistic director of the Playhouse and has been involved with productions at the Mount over her years here as a faculty member. On Renate's left, we have Claudette Sapp, who is an alumna and an actress and a great volunteer and a wonderful worker within the alumni community. And on my left, Frances Cody, who is the administrator of the Mount Playhouse and is employed here as the conference officer, a very busy lady and active in her community, and an alumna as well. So I'd like to ask you, Renate, to give us a comment on this year's season. How did you feel about it when it was through?
Terrific. In one word, it was a wonderful season. I think it's the best season we've ever had. And perhaps the major reason it was so good is sitting right here on my left, and it's you, Dilly. For the first time, I think that we were really very well organized from the organizational point of view. We always have wonderful plays, we always have wonderful music, but this time we also had a great organization going, and I hope we'll keep it that way.
Well, I think that the emphasis here is on the volunteer aspect. It's a very unique project in as much as that the people who are involved at every level are doing this for the love of the project. And I'm interested to know about our competition. I'm frequently asked about other dinner theaters, where did this idea come from, and so on. Would you, do you have a few comments on that, Renate?
Well, speaking about competition, I would say we haven't got any. I really feel that we are absolutely unique. What we are offering here with the natural beauty of the campus, the indoor-outdoor operation, the wealth of cultural, culinary, etc. experiences that we can offer in the course of an evening, just because everybody's working for the love of it and nobody gets paid. I mean, that sort of thing just cannot be duplicated anywhere. The fact is that there is no dinner theater, even a conventional type of dinner theater in Halifax at this point.
Where would you say you have seen, other than the Mount Playhouse, the most successful dinner theater?
Well, quite frankly, I haven't seen any successful dinner theater anywhere else. I've been to one or two which I didn't like. But this Mount Playhouse is really basically my dream of what a dinner theater ought to be like. And this dream has become a reality here. I haven't really seen anything like it anywhere. And people who have been to Toronto dinner theaters tell me that they are quite different and necessarily much more commercial than we are.
I see. One of the things that gained a lot of attention this year with the season that was presented was our toast to Canadian talent. And I know that you are a colleague or an associate of Aviva Revel's, and I'm wondering about, this is the playwright who wrote the main performance, the play that was presented in the main performance section of the evening called Soft Voices, and she lives in Montreal. I know that you had been speaking with her about the project, and I wondered if you can recall any of her comments on our attempt at putting together a Canadian evening.
Well, of course, Aviva was absolutely delighted to have been chosen as our first Canadian playwright, and naturally, like everybody else in the community of Canadian playwrights, she was pleased that we are starting a Canadian evening. I think it's going to be a tradition. I think we really ought to have one Canadian evening out of our 3 each week.
I see.
Aviva, in fact, as you probably know and remember, even sent us a telegram of congratulations and good wishes. She was that pleased to have been chosen.
That was very special, yes. And the actors were thrilled to have gained that kind of support from the playwright herself.
The actors and the director who found the play extraordinarily challenging and great fun to do.
Right. Speaking of actors and actresses, we have Claudette Sapp here with us again today. And those of you who may not recognize Claudette today may remember her as La Seguin in other Playhouse seasons. And in fact, La Seguin has made quite a triumphant tour of the Maritimes in one form or another. Most recently, Claudette has completed a successful run with The Boor, played by Anton Chekhov, that was presented in our Monday night program. Claudette, how did you get involved in the Playhouse? Want to tell us about it?
Well, I guess it's because I love the Mount, and I've always been very involved with the Mount. I graduated as an older student, and I had friends here who knew of Renate's dream and knew that I was a bit of a ham and had on occasion done some public speaking and said I should audition, which I did, and I've been happily auditioning, and thank God, getting roles ever since.
And having a good time, too.
Having a wonderful time. Our first play, I think you might remember.
I do indeed.
You and I were acting together in Trifles at the turning point of the play, a very tense moment when you and I discovered a canary that was dead. And at that point, everything was dead silence. And the doors were open, and the birds sang outside in the beautiful campus in the trees.
I'll never forget that.
It was I think, a very happy moment because it sort of bode very well for the Mount Playhouse from that moment on.
As I recall, Renate, the critic who was in attendance that evening presented a review in the newspaper in the days following. I think the remark went something like, we knew that Mrs. Usmiani was very capable and almost able to charm the very birds from the trees, but this is ridiculous. It was our opening night, the very first play that we ever presented in the Mount Playhouse in a main performance, and it was a most exciting evening. I'll never forget that. That was really
That was the very first, and it was an omen of obviously good luck and success.
Now, Claudette, with the other parts that you played a part in Request Stop, as you were the sophisticated lady in Request Stop. You played the part in Trifles. And help me out, I'm a little vague on the second season.
Well, I think that the thing I've done that has brought me more pleasure, and probably a lot of people saw it, was La Seguin, which I did here and I've done for the past 3-4 years as an amateur, of course. I've been invited to church halls, private functions, benefit performances to do La Seguin, and Renate and I have worked out a text which we change depending on the audience. And it has been a very wonderful experience for me as an Acadian. And this Seguin, she speaks, she's an Acadian, and she tells the Acadian situation. And it speaks very deeply to me.
Are you personally acquainted with Antonine Maillet, the playwright?
She taught me many years ago when I was in a convent school. Yes.
In New Brunswick?
Yes, in New Brunswick, in Moncton.
And have you had contact with her since your interest in La Seguin?
No, I haven't.
It would be interesting to meet the lady again, I suppose. Frances Cody has been involved, as has Renate and Claudette, from the very beginning of the Dinner Theatre. And I'm interested to know the answer to a question that I'm frequently asked, Frances. Does the Playhouse make any money?
Well, yes and no. It does make money, but not in the real sense of the word. The university fronts us the money, so to speak. We work out a budget, and we present it to the senior administration, and they approve it, and then that money is available to us for our use. At the end of the summer, out of the proceeds of the Playhouse, we have to pay back that money to the university. However, there are a lot of contributions to the university that never get paid back, and that's, like we don't pay any rent on the facility. We obviously don't pay any of our actors or our actresses or our technical people, so those costs are never recovered from the university. If we had to do it on a break-even basis with all of these kinds of things considered, I'm not sure that it would be able to go, not at the price we charge.
Yes, of course. That's it's interesting to think that because we are a university, I've heard Renate comment on this aspect before, that we have a certain responsibility to present a level of intellectual or sophisticated drama And I think it's because the Mount is our sponsor and does provide for us in this way that we are able to afford to take a brave step and to do something that is a little different and a little unique. The other question that I'm often asked is, what about next year? What about it? Are we all going to be involved in it again, I wonder?
Well, up until now, we always discuss that question at the end of the season. This year, I noticed for the first time, nobody is even asking it until you ask it now. I think we all take it for granted that we're here to stay. We are an institution. And once you've been involved with the Playhouse, I think you're hooked. There is no hope for any of us.
I think we were all involved in the first season, weren't
Yes,
we?
yes,
right.
we were.
Right back to the
Yeah.
beginning.
Exactly, exactly.
One of the very interesting things about the Playhouse, I found that even though their format remains basically the same with the inside-outside music, entertainment, drama, each year is a little different. This year we had the theme, so that on one night we had the whole Russian package with dancing, Chekhov plays, then the Canadian evening, and then the Noel Coward, British sophisticated type of stuff. So that we're, speaking personally, I'm looking forward to see what Renate and company are going to come up with next year.
Now, when are we going to find that out, Renate? When will things start rolling again for the next season?
Well, starting in September, I think I'm going to sit down with stacks and stacks and stacks of plays and start reading and hopefully get some bright ideas. And of course, always I try to get some input from as many people as possible. And hopefully, by the time the annual Christmas reunion of the whole Playhouse company rolls around, Santa Claus will have the program for next season in his goodies bag.
And as I
That's what
recall,
we're aiming for anyway.
once the season, the plays are chosen, then the administrative people get to work and start planning promotion and publicity, and the producer and artistic director get together to determine how they're going to recruit people to work behind the scenes and set up audition dates. All these things, as I recall, happen in about around February and March.
Yeah, February, really. By the end of February, everything is pretty much organized. And don't forget the chef. We have meetings with the chef, and we have to discuss menus, and we try to get the menus to fit the format of the evenings.
Right. We'll be looking at the 5th season of the Mount Playhouse next year, and I'm wondering if perhaps there's some special cause for celebration. I think that we should all be very proud of what we've accomplished with the Playhouse. To read through our guest book, which is what the guests sign as they leave
That's
the
phenomenal.
pub, what are some of the more interesting comments, Frances? Can you recall any?
We have signatures from people from everywhere, from Budapest, from Australia, from all over the world who have come. And like, the comments are just fabulous. It's just things like, I have never encountered anything like this, never, or this is fantastic. What a gorgeous way to spend an evening, and on and on. And, but the still remarkable part about it is that by far the bulk of our customers or patrons are right in the city of Halifax. I mean, there are people who are starved, and year after year they come out, and not even year after year, they come out performance after performance in the run of a season. So you know, they just love it, and you don't need a comment when you have the same person coming back for 5 performances in the run of a summer, and there are only 3 different ones. Then that in itself says an awful lot.
Yes.
It really does. And I sat down the other day and figured out that in the 4 seasons we have entertained nearly 7,000 people.
7,000. Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of people.
And in spite of those large numbers, if I may inject something, we still retain, I think, what is our most important magic ingredient, that party atmosphere.
That's right.
People come out here as they would to a private garden party. And I think this is why they enjoy the evening so much.
Our numbers very seldom in the run of an evening go over 100, 105. So you're right. The atmosphere in the room itself is just also conducive to
That's another thing that I have been asked about. Since the Playhouse seems to be such a success critically and otherwise, I've been asked, why don't we expand it? And I think Frances has just hit the nail on the head. 105 to 110 people are what we can entertain.
Yes, I've often been adamant on that point, simply because, I mean, part of the whole grace of the Playhouse is the atmosphere. And I mean, if you take it and put it in a big box somewhere, you're going to lose a lot.
You'd lose a lot in another way as well, because I think part of this atmosphere of the Playhouse that makes everyone enjoy it so is that the people involved in the Playhouse, all these volunteers and hard
Well, I
workers,
think that's
have such a wonderful time together, and
It
the
is
love
fun.
and enjoyment that they have just radiates through the whole room.
If you want to get involved, it's quite easy to do. We're encouraging involvement from the entire university community, and in fact from the community at large as well. Please call the Mount Alumni office and ask for me, Dilly MacFarlane, or you may call the Mount switchboard and ask for Mrs. Usmiani. As I mentioned, February and March is the time when we start to try to get people involved. So thank you for joining us today on the Alumni Special. Thank you, Renata. Thank you, Claudette. Thank you, Frances. See you next week.